Start with this one here. It has the long black cable, so we're going to unplug it from here. And we're going to plug this into the laptop. Do you have a free one somewhere? This one. Now it's going to take a minute just for the computer to recognize the device. Okay, so you can see that it's reading the data.
We can go back to that.
So now I'm going to show you how to reset it. So we're going to go to Parameter. Okay. Everything can be left the same. The things to make sure are that the log interval is at 10 seconds. And then if you keep your trip description constant, that doesn't have to change. Perfect. So then what we do, we go down here to save parameter. You let that run, it'll just take a second. Okay. Now if we pan back here, one goes to the infrared thermometer and the other goes to the weight scale. We take them and plug them into our laptop here. Once they're connected, we open the two applications. The first is the SmartLux Simple Data Logger, and the other is the TRH Central app. In here, this is the plug for the weight scale. We're simply just going to take it and plug it in here to give power to the weight scale. Then what we're going to do to turn on the weight scale, because even though it's plugged in, the weight scale isn't actually on, we're going to come in here. This is the inside. Now, in order to access the weight scale is a little tough. I just want to get a little higher here. There's some cables here that are going to get in the way of the lift. So in order to open it, we begin by pulling it a little bit. And then as we pull it, we start to slide. And this will give us access here to the front end of the weight scale. We simply turn it on. And we want to make sure that the bubble level is centered. Then we go back and we slide it back like this. There we go. So that means our weight scale is now on and ready to be set up on the computer. Start with the input. So we have currently an A and D device. So just make sure A and D is selected. We hit just set default parameters for device. And then you go down here and just make sure that you are on the right port. It will depend on the device. So if one of the COM ports doesn't work, just try the other ones until you get the proper connection. Next, we go to control and we want to make sure enable polling is set up. And if we're doing 10-second measurements, that's going to be every 10,000 milliseconds. Nothing to change in process. In the output, we want to choose a file. So we're going to go over here to File, and we're going to navigate to an empty CSV folder. So we created this one in advance, and it's just the thing here is to make sure it's saved as a comma separated value, a CSV. So we select that. In settings, there's nothing to do. License, nothing to do. Just make sure that your license key is activated. And then we can just run a quick test by going back to start. Sample test, and we take it here, place it in the middle where the sample would normally go. And so this is the device we're going to be calibrating here. So in the drawer, you should find this fancy device. So this device here will allow us to make sure essentially that the infrared thermometer is pointing at the middle of the sample. So there are 2 batteries which should be found in this pack here. There's no on or off button on this. You simply turn it on by adding the batteries. So you unscrew it here, and then you can see where the batteries go. You place in the batteries, 1, 2. Screw it back in, and we can see that the laser is now on. So you don't want to leave the laser on as soon as you're done calibrating the sensor. You can just take the batteries out. So next we take it and we attach it here. We simply screw it on like this. Doesn't have to be very tight, just a few spins is okay like that. Now we can see here that it's aiming a little high, so what we want is we want the laser to be roughly pointed at the center of the device. So I'm just going to gently pull on this, just a simple pull there, and now we can see that the laser is pointed at the center of the sample, and now we can be sure that we're getting a reading of just the surface temperature. Now that it's been calibrated, we unspin our laser, unscrew the cap here to remove the batteries, and put the rest of everything away. Alright, so with the foam pieces taken out, we're going to start by putting in the sides first. So this one here has this cutout for the infrared thermometer cable. So just slide that in like that. This one here, nothing special, there's no cutouts or anything, so you just place it in this way. This one here has the 2 cutouts. This will sit on top of the thermometer holders. There are holes on the back that press into the screws. You can just see right here. So those screws will just press into those there. Okay. Next will be to put in these ones here. So we can see that there are holes, and those holes will press into the bolts that are sticking out there, just right here. Okay. Okay. Next is the inner one, and this goes on the side with the thermometer and hygrometers. We simply place it down, and we're going to pass them through like that. This one here has cutouts for the infrared thermometer, for the anemometer, and for the pressure sensor. So you simply take it like this, and it should line up with the infrared thermometer. And so there's a hole on the other side that allows the laser to pass through. The last step here is going to be the top, and so there's a little cutout here which lines up with the infrared thermometer cable. So we're simply going to take it like this, press down, and with everything lined up, it's ready to go. Okay, so in here you should have the wind sensor and the pressure sensor. So these are going to go inside the chamber box. So we simply take out the roof piece. With this guy, this is the part that measures. There's the 2 sensors, the 3 sensors in there. So we simply take it and insert it into the hole further back, just enough so that there's room here for air to pass through. for this one, turn it on, and we can see that it's running. We simply take this one, insert it all the way through so that it's flush, there. Move it back. There we go. And replace the lid. Close. Now we come over here. We check our phone. So we want to make sure for settings that sampling is set. You set that here, right? So we can up or down. Go back, and then we just hit start. And we can see here that it's starting to take measurements. This is at 0 right now just because the fan is not turned on. Perfect. So the next step is to set up the power controllers. So these are going to control the fan, the surface temperature heater, and the air heater here. So all 3 power controllers are located in the top drawer. We simply take them all out. And then use a case of some kind to prop them up. We set them here. There is no particular order on which one's plugged into which one. They all form relatively the same. To supply power to them, we're going to use these here, and these are all plugged in to the yellow power bar in the back. So these connect simply in the back here. That. Now to connect the modules, the one with the white here that's going into the box, this is the surface temperature heater. So I'm going to take these and we simply go black to black, red to red. This one here with the 2 individual black lines. This is the air heater, so we'll place this one here. Okay, and last, this one here goes to the fan. It has just a round cable. So in this current setup here, the left one is controlling the fan, the middle one is controlling the ceramic heater in the chamber, and the right one is controlling the air heater over here. Alright, so next is going to be setting up the light source here. So if you're going to be using sunshine in your setup, you're going to need this unit here. So the first thing to do is to always make sure that the fan is turned on. So the fan is up here, and so we simply turn it on by plugging it in. There's no on-off button. Once it's plugged in, we can just do a quick check by feeling here, and we can feel that air is being sucked through. Perfect. Now, in order to set the light output, the first step is to turn on the power bar here. We can see here that our converter is receiving power. We simply spin this orange knob all the way until it doesn't spin anymore. We should get around 52 volts there. This unit here controls how much voltage is sent to the light bulb inside. So the first thing we want to make sure is that we're starting at 0. It's very important that we start at 0 so that when we turn it on, it isn't receiving any power. If there is enough power being delivered and we turn it on, it will shatter the light bulb. We start the data logging simply by holding the circular button here. It'll beep twice and we'll see numbers start to appear, and that means the data logger is now starting to record. When we come here to start recording temperature of the surface temperature, we go File, Start Data Recording, select the first port, time, 10 seconds, set the maximum amount of data points, hit OK. Then we can just go to the chart and we should see you can see its temperature being recorded here. Perfect. Now we come over here to the weight scale. We've already set this up, so we simply hit start, and we can see now that is running, and now all of our sensors are in play. So to adjust, we want to make sure that we're starting at 0, and then we turn it on here by pushing this button. The green means it's on, so we can adjust the number by pressing the V once. We see a purple number or purple bar light up. We can cycle between the numbers just by pressing this button here. We know it's on here, so as we start to increase, we can see that the voltage is increasing, and it's recommended to go about one number every 3 or 4 seconds. The idea is to go slow to let the bulb warm up. So you can see I'm currently at 5 volts right now, and if we look, we can see that the light is looking dim, so it's definitely working. So if our set number was 25.45 volts, I would slowly increase this. Now that I've reached 25, I press this once, and I can increase the second decimal place, tap again, increase the first decimal place, and tap V, and it's good to go. Now if we look at here, it's quite bright and hot, so if we want, we can place something to block the light here during the experiment, but make sure that the hole stays open. We don't want to impede the airflow going through the hole. Okay, so to start the fan unit here, we're going to start by making sure that everything is closed. Make sure everything is sealed. There's no gaps, there's no holes. Next we go and we turn on the power bar. And in our current setup, the left box here is connected to the fan. So we simply flip this switch here. All the knobs should be set to the full stop on the amps, so full amps, and then the voltages should be set to 0. This ensures that it's the voltage that's controlling. So to begin, okay, so if we want to cool or dehumidify the air, we use this unit here. the very first thing to do with it is to make sure that these two fans are turned on full power, and we simply do that by pushing these until they're both full circles, and we can feel them turned on there. Once those are engaged and we have our fan turned on over here, the next step is to simply hit power. We adjust that, make sure it's turned down low. And that's all. If we want to dehumidify, we can simply do that by pressing this button here. This button here will switch it from air conditioner mode to dehumidifier mode. To run the humidifier, heater, or air conditioner, we always want to make sure that the fan unit is running. We don't run anything without the fan unit being on. So we can always just start by starting with the fan. Turn on, just to be safe. You can see that we got some wind speed there. Next, with the humidifier, it's important to make sure that this end is closed, this end is closed, and this one stays open. This allows any condensation to fall into the trap here and not pass through into the climate chamber. Next, we're going to want to make sure that we got some water in our humidifier here. Then we want to make sure that the spindles line up. So right here should connect with right there. Okay. Next, we take these and seal these shut. And now the humidifier is controlled by moving this here. Okay. So next, we take the plug. There's no on-off switch for the humidifier. So essentially, once we plug it in, we can see that the humidifier starts to emit like that. And so, of course, then we can just increase or decrease the rate of humidification using this dial here. So the next thing is going to be to turn on if we want to use the heater here. Our setup has it engaged to the middle, to the right one here. And so we simply start by making sure that we have full amps and our voltages are set to 0. We turn it on, and then we can simply increase the temperature by increasing the voltage here. And we can measure the voltage or the amount of heat being delivered simply by looking at the thermometers up here. So we can see that eventually the numbers are going to be increasing until we hit our desired target. Okay. The next thing is going to be the surface temperature here. So in our setup, the middle one is set to the ceramic pad inside the chamber. So if we look at our computer here, we can see right now it's running about 16 degrees Celsius. That's the temperature of the empty cup in the weight scale right now. So as usual, make sure amps are full, voltage is 0, and simply turn it on. And then we increase the voltage to whatever we want, whatever our desired target is. And after a couple minutes, we'll see on the computer our temperature will start to rise. In this experiment, we were running wind speed, this one's off, no surface temperature. We were running the heater, we're running the humidifier, and we're running the air conditioner. Now, at the end of the experiment, the shutdown order is sort of important. We're going to start with the heater. So the first thing to turn off is this. Second, we're going to turn off the air conditioner. We can just do that by hitting the power button here. That turns it off. And then we're going to turn off the humidifier. Just do that by unplugging it. And at this point, it's a good idea to essentially allow these to stay on for 2 to 3 minutes. Keep those on 2 to 3 minutes, and keep your fan on 2 to 3 minutes. And that will just allow all of the components to properly cool down and reset themselves.